Hey everybody, it's Matt from Team Metal, and today I'm going to show you my prison deck profile. So we've got the normal ride line that you'd have for this. So you just got the prison. They're all got the prison name in, or Aurora name. Well, no, just Aurora name, sorry. So the grade 1, when it's placed on a grade 0, you search your deck for the prison. Grade 2, when she's placed, your opponent chooses a card from the hand, puts into the prison. And then the grade 3, during your turn, if there are 3 or more in the prison, 1 or more, sorry, it gains 10k. And then if there are gains 10k, and then there are 3 more against the drive +1. That's where the 3 was. And then it's got activation, Vanguard and Rear Guard just once per turn, where you can counterblast one, choose 2 of your opponent's Rear Guards and put them into the prison. The triggers line up that I've gone for the deck. Got the Brandgate OT. So the Brandgate OT, its additional effect is it just doubles your crits and the current power of all your front row units. And then we've got the 4 heals. Full front, because this deck is very front row centric, and especially with the new grade 2 with the restand, and then if you see a front and you got her out, it's just fantastic power buff. And also the shield, it's always nice. And then we got 5 crit, in no particular order of what the crits are, it's just these are the crits that I chose to put in. If you want 4 of that, just do 4 of that. Soul is always useful. So if you got 4, bump it up. But then I just wanted the 2 shiny crits, because SP and reprint shiny. And then I've got 2 draw triggers just to try and give the deck a bit more draw power. And they're always nice to see on defense. And they're the 10k ones, because why wouldn't you have the 10k draws? The grade ones, when I gather them all. Full perfect guards. Because you're a grade 4 deck, yeah, the Sanctitude, you have to run the new one, not the old one, because of what you can't run the old one with the being grade 4. And we got 4 Ball Mine. I had 4, he's not sorry, I thought I had 3. Ball Mine's quite an old card, but it's the end of the battle. This unit boosted. Your order zone has a set order. You can put this into your soul and counter charge. So it's fantastic for this because the deck does have counter blasts from the Vanguard and the grade 2, and there's a grade 1 at counter blast. So there's quite a bit of it, and there's a lot of soul being used in this deck. So being able to have more soul is always very, very useful. Speaking of soul taken away, we've got Free Mooner. So she's got a continuous effect. If your zone has 3 or more cards in it, this unit gets 5k, and that's just straight up continuous. The reason this is in this deck is because of the fact that your prison and cards within the prison count towards this effect for it to gain the 5k. So that's why she's used in here, as well as other effect is that when any player's unit is placed on rear guard from the order zone, you can soul blast one to draw a card as a once per turn. And then we got the Lethal Roira? I have really bad pronunciations. Fantastic grade 2 from set 12. She's got a continuous during your turn only. It's if your opponent has 2 or more in prison, she gains 5k, so she's 13k booster. She's then got an activation that's once per turn. If your opponent imprison, if you imprison one of your opponent's cards this turn, you can counterblast 1, you imprison another card, and then you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 unit with a grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, and call it onto the rear guard. And then we got 3 security upgrader. So Security Upgrader's got an activation where you can send it off. Your opponent chooses, you have to retire it into the drop. Your opponent chooses a card from their drop and puts it into the prison, and then you can choose a grade 4 Seraph from either your drop, deck, or hand, and ride it as stand. You search your deck, you shuffle, but then when you use this effect to ride, the effect of your grade 4 is Counterblast cost is reduced to 0 because it's only a Counterblast 1, so you only need to Soul Blast the grade 3 if it's your first grade 4 ride, or your grade 4, or so on and so forth. And then you got the prison, so what you search off your grade 1 ride. So when you put this into your order zone, you have to rest a unit. You can rest your Vanguard, you can rest a rear guard. You then end up soul charging 3 cards, but then it has 2 effects. So these apply to your opponent, so they give your opponent a cost in order to get their units back. So they can either Soul Blast 1, and they choose one of their imprisoned cards and call it a rear guard, or they're allowed to Counterblast 1 and get 2 cards back. So that's the grade 1s. The grade 2s. Let's just do a swipe. There we go. Right. So the grade 2s that I've gone with is 4 copies of this promo. So I'm really bad at pronunciations. But when she's placed on rear guard, you Soul Blast 1. Your opponent takes a top card of their deck and places it into your prison, and then she gains 5k. And then we've got 4 copies of the new grade 2, the Citrus. When she's placed on rear guard, your opponent can choose a card from their drop to put into your prison. If they do that, you can Energy Blast 3 and draw a card. But it does say they choose a card from their drop and prison in your prison if they're imprisoned. So they don't actually get a choice. It's more of like, if they haven't got anything to drop, then you just don't get the on-place effect, basically. And then she's got a rear guard effect that when you're grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Seraph in its card name attacks, if you've got 3 or more cards in your prison, then she will gain 10k. If there are 5 or more, you can Counterblast 1 to restand her. So the deck finally got a restand, which is fantastic. There's cards, you can't run anything less than 4. If you're not running 4 of his cards, you need to tweak your deck and run 4 of it. It is too good not to run as a 4 of. And then we've got the Daryl Violet. So when she's put onto Guardian Circle, if 1 or more cards are in your prison, well, 1 or more of your opponent's cards are in your prison, you can Soul Blast 1, and then she can't be hit, like the card you're guarding with can't be hit by grade 2 or lower units since the end of the battle. And then we got a one-off Cuff Spring. So when she's placed on rear guard, your opponent chooses a card from their hand, puts it into the prison, and then you make them draw a card to replace the card they put from hand. Because just an on-place for no cost to take a card out of the hand without them getting something back is a bit crazy. And then we got 2 copies of the Aquas. I'm just going to say Aquas. So her effect is when she's placed on rear guard, your opponent chooses a card from their drop and puts it into your prison. She's then got a continuous on the rear guard and Guardian Circle. If there are 2 or more cards from your opponents in the prison, she gains 5k power and 10k shield. And then when she attacks, your opponent has to use 2 cards from hand to guard. And then we've got the boss of the deck, the grade 4. Card's amazing. When she's placed onto the Vanguard Circle, you can blast 1 and Soul Blast 1 card with Seraph in its card name, so that's why you the grade 3 and herself when you ride into another one. And then your opponent chooses 2 cards from the soul, 2 from the rear and 2 from hand, and puts them into your prison. So if your opponent has 2 cards in each of those areas, you're generating 6 targets straight off the bat, 6 cards into the prison. which is absolutely great. But with the way the game is at the moment, it depends on the matchup. The rear guards and the soul is very difficult to take away. Hand, usually not a problem. Unless they somehow burnt their entire hand. But even then, if the twin drive, they should always have at least 2 cards in hand. So in theory, you should always get 2 cards. So it's alright. And then during your turn, all of the front row units gain 5k power for every 2 cards that are in the prison. Then if there are 10 or more cards, your front row gains a crit. So if you do hit 6 targets, and then you've got your other abilities to get you the rest of the cards, so you just need 4 more after that to get to 10. And then you're swinging for the big numbers. Well, you're swinging 25, I think it is, to the front row and a crit, which is ridiculous. And then of course, if you got the restander out, it's just like, oh, just swing with this, because if you got 2 out, and then because of her effect, she's really, really powerful, because she'll get the 10k from her own effect. And then this swings, you counterblast 2, restand both of these, and swing for big numbers again. So there you go, guys. That is my prison deck profile. Thanks for watching. Leave any thoughts or comments below, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.